Major League Journeymen, we are back after a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching watch of Mexico hoisting the trophy in the Gold Cup final. Was it meaningful? Do we really have to care about this? Has it left more questions than answers, or have we identified some maybe changes in our pool, some adds, some subtractions? I think we got a lot to chat about, and we're going to give Alan Gordon a new role so he stays engaged the entire episode. This is going to be new. We're going to test his levels. So let's jump in and see what it looks like. Major League Journeyman, we are back. God, it feels good. We got Gordo, we got Dax, we got Gargs, all three of us. And we're into some role play here, guys. I don't know if you guys participate at home, but we are gonna switch some things around today and just, chop up where U.S. soccer sits today. I think we all have opinions from different angles, and we're coming off maybe the most significant or insignificant result in U.S. men's national team history at this point, right? So we got the Gold Cup final against Mexico. Man, it really, 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 really pains me to see Mexico celebrate anything. So I turned the television off, but I wanted to see because I know, Gordo, I know you're big on celebrations. What was that moment like for you yesterday, and how did you really kind of digest the Gold Cup final, US Mexico? Just a dream matchup for everybody in the way that it played out.
It was tough to watch. Got off to a really good start. Obviously, got an early goal. Like, okay, here we go. And we kind of just poked the bear. We woke up the bear that was Mexico in a deeper squad than we had brought to this Gold Cup. They brought some of their players, and their players stepped up. Alvarez and Jimenez, are two players that are are some of their superstars that they showed up and they played like they are the superstars that they are.
Mhm.
We couldn't get near the ball, and so I think that all in all, they dominated us and they made us look like little boys a little bit, men versus boys.
Mhm.
And my question was, I just didn't see the tactical change-ups that were needed from Pochettino. It was less about the players. They outcoached us. That's the way that I felt. They knew where to attack us. They were gonna make sure and overload the wings. So Luna had to drop all the way back as the left back, and we just were unorganized. We didn't know how to defend him, and I didn't see enough tactical changes from Pochettino, and so that he was my biggest question mark coming out of this. I think ultimately we found three players. We found Luna, we found Tillman, who neither of them had a great game last night, and we found Richards, and that's a win from the Gold Cup standpoint. And those were the guys that we wanted to find to mix in with these other players. So that ultimately is the positive for me.
Spot on, Gordo. I'm impressed. Wow, good for you, man. I honestly
Hey,
can't.
try
I
not to
I
be
I can't
so
find myself.
condescending. All
I
right.
can't find myself. Well, then it wouldn't be us.
Okay.
I can't find myself disagreeing with many of the things that you said. If you were to ask me what I learned about this team from this Gold Cup, I would say it looked like we have a bunch of players running around there that are really proud to wear the crest.
Yeah.
It was I think a little bit of um a step in the right direction in terms of what we saw in Nations League, in terms of what we saw from the friendlies, which were, quite frankly, we were just played off the park. But that's a good starting point to see players who maybe aren't as good and aren't don't have as much top end quality as our best players, but they care and they wanted to make an impression. Now, whether they did or not, that's obviously going to be on Pochettino to decide. But to see us I love what Chris Richards said about going into the game, talking about how
we're not backing down from anyone right now. We've heard the criticism, we've seen it, and we're going to step up and we're going to have each other's backs. We've really bonded throughout this camp. I love seeing that because
I thought he played fantastic last night, and
yeah,
I thought he played like a man.
he
So
did.
he's not included
Chris
in.
Chris Richards, his stock for me has shot through the roof because I had questions about him. I think for a couple years now in terms of would he step up and make this back line his. He has, which is a big positive. The three players that you mentioned for sure, Richards, Tillman, Diego Luna, their stock is absolutely higher than it was before the tournament, no question about it. Even if Tillman and Luna weren't great last night, the entire team wasn't great last night. Mexico outplayed us. You talked about Alvarez, you talked about Jimenez. Both of their goal scorers are their best players. Their best players were there, our best players weren't. So
Mhm.
again, I'm not going in circles again. I don't want to bring up all the stuff that we talked about our best players being there or not. Obviously, my opinion on that hasn't changed. Still disappointed that they weren't there, but I'm not going into detail about it because I think Pochettino learned some things about some players he can use. I agree with you, Gordo. I've got so many questions about Pochettino, and I've been so confounded by some of the decisions that he makes and some of his substitution patterns and even
The
his
subs were
lineups. I
bad. The
mean,
subs were bad.
well, I just again I go back to maybe roster construction. You're playing Sebastian Berhalter as a right midfielder now. Why? There's no rhyme or reason for that. I can't understand it. And it's not to say Sebastian Berhalter was terrible. He was fine, and his set piece service is a massive positive. But again, tactically, when you need to go for the game, you're subbing in John Tolkien.
Yeah.
I'm just Pochettino for me. He's just leaving so much to be desired right now. I'm confused about some of the decision making around the national team. I think I have more. The player pool is what it is. I think I have more questions around the coaching at this point than I do the player pool because I think when we have our best players in there, the quality of play will raise. I just don't know if we've evolved tactically at all under Pochettino.
I agree. Gargs, what about you? What is your takeaway? And would you throw anybody? Did anybody else earn a spot with those other three? What was your biggest takeaway from the Gold Cup final? Because I know you went to a game. You went to the semi, correct?
Yeah, I saw the semi, so I saw him play Guatemala. I think what you guys are saying is pretty accurate. It's pretty spot on. I don't know how much I really have to add. I think that when I think about Poach and where he's at, after have evaluating some of the things that he did in his setup, I thought it was really unique how central and how compact they were against Guatemala. They really didn't, they pushed their outside backs really far up, and pushed Luna in, which obviously worked. He scored the opening goal. It seemed like a similar thing, but sat really deep against Mexico, which Mexico was going to have the majority of the possession. But then, to what you guys are saying, I don't, it didn't really add up. Just the moves that he made, the way that he set it all up. Like, would you really trot that roster out again? The same exact 11 for the final? I
Started
think
three.
that,
He started the same 11 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
right. And like in a tournament play, like man, that's tough. That you're talking like these are grinds of games, like
Yeah.
extra time against Costa Rica, or extra running against Costa Rica with PKs, and then
So
you
are
got a
you
tough game
saying
against Guatemala that goes deep, and then you're playing Mexico in might as well be a home game for Mexico, which is emotionally draining. You got an
so?
awful lot there, and there's no freshness there. I think what Dax is saying is fair. When I look at Poach, he's clearly one of the best coaches in the world, right? Like he has earned that reputation. I still see him in really evaluation mode, and I feel like he's almost paralyzed in certain ways, to either make changes or make adjustments because maybe he doesn't really fully able to wrap his hands around what he has and what this player pool either is or can do, or the players that he has access to. It does seem like there are moves that are just kind of obvious that he's just not doing. I mean,
It
you
seems
know,
like scared coaching.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's just it's like it's waiting for something to change, and he's not changing it. I don't know. I think Richard's stock goes up. I'm still like, and I love how he played. I thought he was a bit. I thought the back line, him and Ream. I thought Ream was excellent throughout the tournament, but I also, question him and Richards and Adams, who I was really high on, and Freeman in the opening goal against Mexico. There really wasn't enough over there, which putting
Yeah.
Berhalter out on the right was problematic. And I think that, the shifts and the transitions, which you guys know this at that level, man, they have to be so fast and there's got to be real high level communication there. Richards was late stepping, Freeman was late pinching in. Ream was not late coming across, but he was soft in his tackle. Like that, he could
Yeah.
have won that tackle against
You gotta
Jimenez.
win that. You have to win
You
that.
have to win that. So like there's
It looked like he was protecting the back post and wanted him to go, and he was giving him the near post, which was a defender didn't want it to go through his legs, but he could have stepped in there, and again he
you
roofed it. He put it in
yeah,
an upper V.
you could have won that ball. And I think you have to, especially with a player of his quality. He makes the right decision and he keeps him on side, right? But then makes the right decision to come across and defend. But then he's soft, and you can't be soft there. You have to win the ball there. So that was all of that was just a little disappointing. I think your stock is accurate. I think Berhalter maybe did enough to maybe sneak into a roster next year, but I still think I've said this before. I still think we're a long ways away from this. I know it feels soon, but there's a lot that has to happen. And if what he was really trying to accomplish was to change the mindset of the team, I think that he got some of the players on board with that. I still think that we're a far way away from that, and
That
he's
was
got
yeah.
work to do.
That was my overall point. Is I think the mindset shift has been great. I love that Pochettino kind of stepped in and was just like, "This is my team. Like either you're in or you're out." When he had to
Yep,
address the Pulisic stuff, I love
yep,
that, and I
yep.
love what I'm hearing coming out of the camp was from certain players about we love his staff, we love how they work. That's all great. That is if one thing has come out of this tournament, it is the fact that I love that Pochettino is kind of saying, look, this is my team. I'm here for the long haul. You guys remember like those rumors about him potentially his agent having meetings with a Premier League
Yeah,
team and like he had to shut that down and it's like, okay, no, I'm here. I'm gonna make it happen. I am taking this team to the World Cup. I'm just I look at where we're at as a country and in terms of how we play. I don't want us to talk anymore about we're going to dominate possession, we're going to play this expansive soccer. Enough of that, okay? That's not what I see this team capable of doing when we have all of our best players in and we sprinkle in a couple players from this Gold Cup who have contributed. I want to see us play in transition. That's what I take away from this. When you have Weah and Pulisic and Balogun or Pepe and Tillman now, who in my opinion has really done a good job of now inserting himself into the conversation of a guy who might have to be on the field. And then you have Tyler and Weston and these runners, and especially Anthony Robinson, Serginho Dest. You have to essentially just say we are going to play in transition. We are going to let our horses get out and run, and we're not going to try to be this really expansive team with the ball because that's not what we are. I don't see Pochettino, even with a secondary roster in the Gold Cup, even us playing against lesser opposition, guys. We Costa Rica, Haiti, Guatemala, like I'm not seeing us completely dominate the game. And Gordo, you know this. It's hard to do in CONCACAF. I understand that. But still, we're just not good enough as a group. Pochettino hasn't had enough time to really install what I would consider this high footballing, high tactical IQ, possession based play. It's not, I don't think he has time to do it. He's got 6 to 8 friendlies coming up before the World Cup. I just, there isn't time and we haven't had our players here
So
for this
you
Gold
think
Cup.
there's not enough time?
No,
Guards, do you
there's
think
not.
there's enough? Do you think there's enough time and uh enough on the schedule for him to sort this out before the World Cup with the
I
players and integrating them into these Gold Cup?
I do, but I would agree with Dax here. I think our best style is being athletic and playing in transition. That is who we are.
Right.
I'm
How
with
can you say that's who we are when we've never played that way? With Berhalter, it was all possession.
because
Yeah,
that's
but it wasn't
and he
effective.
and
It
he
wasn't
played it wrong
effective.
too. I don't agree with the way that he set our teams up either. I think that I'm a big believer in seeing what you have and doing the best with what you have. And just because we have very good players that are playing in world-class environments, that doesn't mean that that's still not their DNA. That's who we are as Americans. I think that we can be aggressive, we can be nasty in the attack if we need to, But we also have, in my estimation, in the way that I look at this pool and what we're going to roll out, we have the most technically capable team of transition soccer players that we've ever had in our history. And that's the way that we should play. And if Poach can get that group onto that and say, hey, we're going to defend here, we're going to defend in these moments, and we're going to look to trap in these locations, and this is how it's going to work. And then we're going to go and hit them. I think that is a style that
Gordo,
we as American
agreed,
fans
agreed.
can
That's
all
why I
get
said it.
behind.
And
I agree with that. Dax, who's your number 9, and what's your optimal top 6 with Luna and Tillman
yeah,
included?
it's not Pepe, or it's not. It's sorry, apologies. It's not Agimon.
It's not.
No, it can't be
No,
Agimon.
Guards, you think it's him?
No,
he
no
got
way.
he got so
Nowhere
many
near it.
opportunities, and I he's a really difficult player to play against for center backs. I know this. I know when talking to like Jack Mayer, Walker Zimmerman from Nashville SC, he's an absolute handful. But at the highest level, his quality on the ball, his technical ability on the ball, you don't get there's not enough there.
Gordo, I'm
he's
bringing
just too
you.
he's
I'm
too
bringing you
unrefined.
to the roster before I bring Ajimong, and
Seriously.
that's not saying anything about
No,
Ajimong. He
it's not.
just doesn't.
That's saying
Dude,
a lot.
you're going to score in the 96th minute. I can't guarantee that he will. He's just not there yet. He's not clean enough.
Pepe's
So
the
who
guy.
is it?
Pepe's the guy.
guy.
Pepe is the guy. He is
Is
100% the guy.
Is Josh Sargent on your squad?
Yeah, I would take my at this point in
backup?
time, which
Yep.
obviously Pepe's coming off a tough injury, but all players fit and healthy. It's Pepe, it's Balogun. Sargent has still, I thought it was Sargent about 8, 9 months ago. If you guys remember this, Sargent wasn't really getting called in. I said, dude, this guy's banging goals for fun in the championship. He needs to be in. He has come in, and he hasn't ever really impressed for the national team. He just
No.
hasn't. So I think if Sargent gets a move to the Premier League and he's scoring goals, or even if he stays at Norwich and still scores goals, then he has to be on the roster. Ajimon, maybe as a fourth striker, if you need a physical body to bring him to the World Cup to throw on late in games, maybe. Okay, Pepe and Balogun are the top two
Not for
in
me.
my estimation.
All right, who do you think, guards?
I'm just not bringing Ajimon just because of the gluttony of attacking 7s and 11s that we can throw all over the field. I would prefer to bring another body there that gives you more depth as opposed to Ajimon. I've seen enough of them for right now.
What do you need from your number 9 with these wingers that we have?
Finishers. I need finishers. I need
And
finishers.
you-
I'm with Dax. I think it's Pepe number 1, Flo number 2, and probably a close 2. It's probably 1A, 1B, and Sargent you bring in. I don't care if
it's
I
all
don't care
and
what
then
he's doing.
and then it's all
as long as he's
dependent,
healthy.
right? And then
All right.
like listen, Gordo, Christian Pulisic is going to be on the field. He's going to be our one of our best players on the left. Tim Weah, as long as he's playing and fit, I don't know if he's going to get a move this summer. He's probably our best and most dangerous option on the right. Tillman, any combination of Luna, Tillman, Gio Reyna, depending on his club situation, if
Gio
he can
Reyna.
get somewhere.
Gio Reyna.
I still,
Gio
I
Reyna.
still,
Oh, you guys are still on that.
I'm still on it.
Still on that kick.
Not-
the guy
not-
played like
I know.
4 minutes in the Club World Cup.
That's
by
the
way.
sad thing. I would have much rather seen him with the U.S. this summer than with Dortmund at the Club World Cup. But anyways, Gordo,
Get off Arena.
if he gets-
He's not,
if he
You're
gets
not bringing
going.
him?
He's not
not bringing
going. He's not playing, bro.
I'll
He
bet
is
you
not
right
playing.
now, $500
Gordo.
Rena's on the squad.
I'm not saying that he will
he
be
has
or
to get
will
a move.
not be. Do you think that he deserves to be if he's not playing? Going back to this, you guys were always on bring him no matter what because he's that special. Dude, the guy
Guess what?
hasn't played in
Gordo,
years.
there has been an emergence of Malik Tillman and Diego Luna. We
Yes.
didn't have that 6 months ago.
Yep.
Now,
Right.
he has to, so Gio Reyna, this is my point. He has to get a move and he has to play and he has to produce. And if
Yeah,
that
he's gotta get a
happens,
move.
he will be on the roster because I think his ceiling is higher than any of these guys. But that's an obvious big question mark because he can't really stay healthy, and who knows if he's going to play regularly. That's the only thing I'll say.
I agree with that. Guards,
That's all I'm
are
saying.
you bringing him if he doesn't get a move?
And he stays with Dortmund
Yeah, and he's not playing.
for the whole next year. I think if
Can't bring
he does not play at all,
Okay,
I
so
think
Dax,
that would be tough. But that's part of my point is like we're 12 months away, man. We're 10 months away from having to make decisions. It's a long time. And I'm betting on Gio Reyna doing enough to put himself in contention. It's a great point from Dax. he didn't. A lot of this, I think, is a lack of pressure. There was a lack of options. There's a lack of pressure. There's a general
And here's
understanding
the crazy thing,
that you're going to
That's
play.
Gargs, that's the point. Here's the thing that, another massive point that I took away from this summer. There still isn't enough quality depth behind our best players. There's just not.
There's not, but
Diego
I'm willing to put
Diego
Diego
Luna,
Luna on the field. I'm
yeah,
willing to put
Diego
Tillman on
Luna,
the
but
field just to put them on the field.
Diego Luna and Tillman absolutely stepped up and gave Pochettino a big decision to make with regard to the attacking pieces. I don't think any midfielders really did anything to really unsettle Weston McKennie and
Yep.
Tyler Adams. I mean, Yunus Musa, another name where I'm just like, dude, I see the talent. I want him to really like grab his opportunity and take it and run with it. But again, he doesn't really play
Let
regularly for
me
Milan.
let
Well,
me
he
push back
hasn't
on that
had it.
just a touch.
Yeah.
Gordo, let me push back on that just a touch
I'd like,
because I do think that two significant names that have not been in our attacking talent pool are an awful lot. If because they're going to display, they can't, shouldn't say they are. They can displace positions. And if they displace positions, because of the way that all of those players can be used, there could be movement elsewhere. So if Yunus Musa's not on the field out wide, he can be in the eight, which then would potentially, could potentially push McKennie off the field. And now they sit. I do think it gives them some more options. Now, it might not be significant depth at every seven, at the 11, at the six, at the eight, at the 10. Those names might be interchangeable, but I think even just dropping in the mentality of a Diego Luna who is going to work his balls off no matter what to earn every scrap of every inch of everything. I think that will change a little bit of the dynamic, and
Yeah.
it's not ideal, Dax. I'm not saying that we've found it, but
Yeah.
it is enough, I think, to shift some of the expectations.
I agree. We found some good potential options that haven't been the same starters, the last 4 or 5 years. We have the US men have two fixtures currently listed, Korea and Japan in September. That's all they have.
Dude,
I'm
those are tough
assuming that
games,
they're
man.
gonna I'm assuming they're gonna throw some more fixtures on there at as many as they possibly can. But just to wrap it up, let's wrap up. Let's put a bow on this US Gold Cup. Um, Gargs, are you sticking by after seeing the whole thing? Are you sticking by your decision to or your stance on this is the way it should have been. We didn't, we found our players. We didn't need the big stars. This is the way it was designed to be. How he
Are you
constructed it.
still
Did
are
you
you
like
still
that?
happy they stayed away,
Yeah.
Gargs?
Are you still happy they stayed away? There you go.
Absolutely, 100%. I am. I am thrilled. I
Do
actually
you think it would have been beneficial for our best players to be there in a massive Gold Cup final against Mexico as our last real tune-up before the World Cup?
I think that it could have been beneficial, but I also like the fact that they weren't not that they weren't there. It doesn't bother me, and because I don't think that the Tillmans and the Diego Lunas and the Chris Richardses of the world would have had the responsibility that they had. I don't think that they deserved to win the game. I also like that they lost because had they won the game, we would have walked out of there and been and everybody's head would have been in a different place. They lost. They know it wasn't good enough. We know it wasn't good enough. There's still work to be done, but it did switch the mindset a little bit. And there is now, I think, a runway for them to improve and to change. And Pochettino, if he is committed, which I think he is, I think now has something to work with. So
I
I still
I
feel good about it.
Da Dax,
I actually
Dax,
respect that take because I do think we got some players that stepped up that wouldn't otherwise have stepped up. So I'm going to agree with you in that instance. I still think because there's only friendlies left now, I still think it would have been beneficial to have our best players on the team in a massive game against Mexico that would have been, I think, a way for us to also galvanize the country and get us really excited about, wow, we won the Gold Cup final with our best players and
Hmm.
everyone is pulling in the same direction. And there's not going to be this like weird, awkward, let me tiptoe around. Who's Pochettino going to call up now? Like, well, he's going to call up the best players, but now how is he going to play? Is what's the balance like? What are the comments going to be like publicly? I still think there's going to be a little bit of a weird period there with these friendlies coming up. But I think that your point, Gargs, is a good one. I do like the growth that we've seen from some secondary players that stepped up. Look, how I button up the Gold Cup The teams they exceeded my
Success or not?
expectations.
Success or
It was
not?
a success because we got to a final, which I didn't think we would get to, and we Pochettino seemed to wake something up in some players and got better performances out of players that maybe haven't impressed with the national team in the past. So would I have loved to win and beat Mexico? Sure, but I do think to Gargs' point, it would have been a little bit of fool's gold because we
Okay.
didn't play that great. We really didn't play that great throughout the entire Gold Cup. The performances were pretty average. The teams we beat were ranked 54th,
Yeah, they weren't good.
73rd.
They
Like
weren't good. It's still
they're
a
not
tough
great
tournament. It
teams.
wasn't
And
good.
oh, by the way, the only real test we had in the Gold Cup was Mexico. We lost it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we were tested against Switzerland and we were tested against Turkey and we lost.
Yeah,
Okay?
guards.
Korea and Japan, they're good.
Those,
They're good
yeah, they're
teams.
good,
Those are going to be difficult tests even if they are friendlies. So I think
which is what we need.
it should have been considered a successful Gold Cup. I still would have liked to see our best players there, but I hope that since they weren't there, they got rest. They are recovered. They watched the team
We'll see.
play, and we'll see how motivated they are to come back and be like, yeah, I really want to make this thing successful in
All
next
right,
summer.
Gargs. Final thought on response to Dax. Do you thinking the same?
The only thing that I'll add is I think that every game from here on out is important. And so, yeah, to Dax's point, the Gold Cup final and playing in a meaningful final with our best players, I do get that. I understand that. I already feel the weight of next summer though, and I'm sitting behind a desk and I have to think that our players feel that sense of responsibility too. So the playing against the Koreas and the Japans and all these other exhibitions, they're significant. And I think that they will feel that. I also like that, I was in the stadium in St. Louis and there was 15,000 Guatemalans there. That was a real environment for those players to play in, and that was a tough test. Now, was Guatemala great on the field? No, but they had their knives and their daggers, and they were looking to win. And you got to go through that. And I think that that was a good test for those groups. Costa Rica, not a slouch, and what a PK shootout! Like what a moment for them to get through together to
That
galvanize
was
that
kind of
group.
cool. That was
So
cool.
I do think that there are meaningful things in here, and I think that to finish it up, it culminates in a beat down for Mexico. They got beat down and they deserved to get beat down because they weren't at that level. And now
Uh,
they know that they are not at that level and there's work to be done.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on. We're going to move on to the U.S. Open Cup just a little bit. I mean, we've touched on this, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. Guards, you tuning into the Open Cup or over it? Too many other fixtures that you're interested in over the Open Cup.
I'll tell you what, I really like the Open Cup. I love the idea of it. I like the sentimentality of it.
Because you're a cold-blooded American, that's
I'm
why.
a cold-blooded American, dude. I want I want to drink Budweiser heavy and watch the Open Cup and look at these kids run around. I want to see that. I want to see the Cinderella stories. I genuinely enjoy that. I genuinely believe that you can't fabricate history, and the Open Cup has been a part of US soccer for a really long time, as in the US soccer ecosystem. However, in saying that, there is so many games right now and so many things going on. And unless I actually trip and fall onto a field that has an Open Cup game going on during that trip and fall, and I pick myself up and I see that there are two teams here and there's an Open Cup trophy to be won, there's no chance.
So what is wrong, Dax? What is wrong with the Open Cup? Like, are they not marketing it well? Are they not
Well,
throwing
no,
the
that's
dollars at it? Why does
they're
it
not.
why does it not mean
Because
anything?
I agree with Gargs. I love the Open Cup. I always did. It's just
Did you
it's a
prioritize it on your teams or did it go year to year?
I did personally, but it
You
went year
did?
to year with who our coaches them
Yeah, for
prioritizing the
sure.
Open Cup. I never won the Open Cup. I made one Open Cup final when I was young.
Who'd you guys lose to?
It was FC Dallas. We lost to a New England Revolution actually in a great game, 3-2 in Dallas. It was awesome. And I didn't realize at
One
the
of the best
time
games of my life too. I lost an Open Cup. It was one
it,
of the first
The
finals I
final,
played
guards.
in Seattle with Chicago Fire.
yeah.
Yeah, and we
And I didn't
lost.
realize it at the time because I was young, but I didn't realize how difficult it would be to get back to a final
I
and
know.
especially an Open Cup. And then you're sitting there kicking yourself like, damn, that was our opportunity, the Open Cup. I love the Open Cup. It's very important, but here's the truth. Even more so now because of Leagues Cup, the Open Cup is watered down. You have half the MLS teams competing in it. There's the stories for the Open Cup. It's always the lower for me. It's always the lower division teams upsetting the MLS teams. There's no upsets. You're sitting there saying, okay, what games are we going to watch? Well, there's 8 MLS teams left. Minnesota United, Chicago Fire, that's one game. San Jose Earthquakes, Austin FC, that's another matchup, and then the other four, more on the East Coast, are Philly Union, New York Red Bulls, and Nashville SC, DC United. There's no lower division teams anymore, right? It's
I
just a
know
couple
why.
because MLS still, even if they're not playing their strongest rosters, they're
The
still
rosters are deeper.
they're still deeper. They're still deeper. They still have better players. That's just the reality of
Yeah.
the situation of the Open Cup. That for me though, I look at the four teams left, and if you guys have been following the MLS season at all, Nashville SC is the clear favorite for me to win this Open Cup. The clear favorite. They get DC United at
Along with
Geodis
Why?
Philly?
Park.
Why?
Not
Not
Philly.
Philly?
Not
Not
Philly.
Philly.
All right, we'll go to you. We'll go to you next,
Nashville,
guards.
Nashville,
Yeah, okay.
Nashville. I watched Nashville SC play their Open Cup. These are the is this what is this the quarterfinals? Yeah, I watched them play the round of 16 matchup in Orlando with a completely rotated lineup. Nashville SC against Orlando City starting 11, and Nashville SC was excellent. They won the game. They've got depth. They've got quality. They've got two strikers in Surridge and Mukhtar who are on fire right now. The hottest tandem
Dude,
in the league. I still think that they are the favorites over Philly. They did the double on Philly this year. Gordo,
Mm-hmm.
they beat
Mm-hmm.
Philly in
guards.
Philly, and then they
Mm-hmm.
just beat Philly. They were down to 10 men. They beat Philadelphia at Geodis Park. They were down to 10 men for 35 minutes. Nashville SC is the favorite to win the Open Cup right now.
Okay, Dax has got his old squad. Guards,
It has nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to
no,
do with that.
I'm just
I'm
saying.
just stating facts.
It just so happens that it's your old squad and it's where Gargs is from, and he always seems to pick Philly over everybody else. Kind of like how I pick Galaxy. We're kind of
Hey,
pulled
listen,
in certain
we lean
directions.
to what we know, right?
We do.
And
So
that's
tell
where
me, give me your argument on Philly.
Well, here's my argument on Philly. First, let me say that I don't fault Dax for taking Nashville. They're in the best run of form, so that's an easy one. They are
14 games unbeaten,
Do,
Gordo.
do
on
you
fire.
are they really? Do you know? Hey,
Yeah.
guess who has the most goals in MLS since 2020?
Hani
What a
Mukhtar.
random stat. Who?
Hani
Mukhtar
Mukhtar.
by a landslide.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
a
that
great stat.
Instagram popped into my
Nothing to do
feed.
with the
There you
Open
go.
Cup. This is a great stat.
Wow. First stat
So
Gordo has
go on,
ever
Gargs.
added.
Go on, Gargs.
Here's why I wasn't necessarily taking Philly. I was saying Philly and Nashville are my two favorites. I'll take Philly. I'm okay with Philly because of two things. One, I think that they play a clear identity. They have a clear identity. They got a lot of players playing really well, and they haven't won. And so this is an opportunity for them to win a championship. They've lost the Open Cup 3 times, I think, maybe 4 times. They have been close to literally everything, but they haven't touched it. And it's hard to argue with what Carnell's done with the group. And he's going to get a couple of players back from the camp that'll come in, probably change the dynamic just a little bit. And I could see them making a run. And that was
Yeah.
all. That was all I was saying. I think in tournament play, they can be pretty dangerous just with their style, the way that they run, the fitness that they have. I just could see it. I see it.
Gordo, would you like someone to ask if you've ever won the Open Cup? Is that what you've been waiting for this whole time?
I mean, you can.
Just because you're
I can
chatting
ask-
with two losers, Gordo. I know when you won the Open
Gordo,
Cup.
me and Gargs lost the Open Cup final. Did you ever win the Open Cup?
guys, I won and I lost in the final. So
what a
we
guy.
lost to Chicago. In Chicago, I scored that game. We lost 3-2, I think. And then we also won when I was very young. And I didn't know how hard it was going to be to get back there as well, Dex.
That's the thing you
Um,
learn, man. Well,
it,
let me, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I wanna finish up this pod because this has been the rotating host, right?
I
I don't
like
know.
it.
People probably notice, hey, wow, Gordo's running a lot of this conversation. What a guy. I want to finish up with two things with you guys because obviously with me and like my current role right now, I consume and watch literally almost any MLS game and every MLS game possible. You guys obviously doing other stuff. You consume some of it, not all of it, but I think we have a big sample size in MLS right now. I've given my picks on these things a million times, but now that you guys have halfway through the season, we're through the summer, you guys have your ideas about, I guess, where teams sit right now. I want both of you to give me your supporter shield winner at this point in the season because I've said a million things. And then I can button it up at the end with what I've said. I don't know if you guys have seen what I've said, but your supporter shield winner and then who your MLS Cup final is at this point right now and who wins it. Go ahead, Gargs, you start us off.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm taking. I think I'm still taking Cincinnati Supporter
For the
Shield.
shield. Okay.
I
Any reason why?
just well, their consistency, really. I think they have a stable roster. I think they have a stable coach. I think they have a stable organization that has prioritized being good in every single game. And I think that they're going to ride that. And I think that they have enough of a conference, enough of a remaining slate where they will get results and they'll win at home. So
You know who's you know who's really helped FC Cincinnati?
who's that?
The old dog.
Eh, the old Portland guy?
Nope. Come on. What signing that did they just make fairly recently? Guys 40, 41 years old, playing well for FC Cincinnati, helping them out.
41 years
Your
old.
your
Gotta be a
knowledge.
goalie.
No, he's not. The
Kai
ultimate
Kamara. Kai
boom,
Kamara.
Gordo.
Oh
1-0
yeah,
over
Kai.
Gargs. Kai Kamara
Kai.
has been very good for FC Cincinnati.
Ozzy.
He's
All right.
very good everywhere he goes, man. He does a
Yeah.
job.
He
He is
contributes.
one dimensional, which is score goals and work hard, and he does
To
it
be
everywhere.
fair, hey Gargs, to be fair, he hasn't scored yet, but he's done a lot of other things well. So I just sorry,
I,
you're not on it today, but who's your final for MLS Cup and your champion?
my final for MLS Cup.
Based on what you've seen so far, putting you on the spot.
Oof. I I'm gonna take Miami.
Okay. Who are they playing?
I'm taking Miami because I think that this is their last opportunity to do it.
Don't disagree with you. Who are they beating in the final then? From the West, who emerges?
Um, it's hard to bet against Vancouver for me, even though they just got thumped by Los Galacticos. I kind of think that that's a little bit of fool's gold for the Galaxy right now. I still don't really think
Yep.
they have a great form. I will say, which I was wrong about. I really wanted to like Marco Royce, and I've watched a ton of games last year, and I just wanted to see more of him. Last couple games, I've been pleasantly surprised, and I think I've seen a little bit more of the class that he possesses in the things that he is adding to the game. And I've really liked that. So
He's
I
been there.
think
He's been the Galaxy's best player the last 3 months, easily.
I agree, and I love seeing that because if you get him to perform and then you get Puig back in the mix, I think
That's
that they're too
great. Hey,
deep.
Gargs, that's all well and good. The Galaxy aren't making the playoffs. No one
Yeah.
cares, but that's
No, you're
fine.
right. But I was
Uh,
my point was a roundabout. You're right. Was Vancouver. I think Vancouver is the best team
okay.
in the West, even with San Diego. I'm still going Vancouver. San Diego hasn't gone through the
Okay.
playoffs yet, so
You heard it here first. Supporter Shield, Cincinnati, MLS Cup, Miami beating Vancouver. Gordovsky, what do you got?
I got Columbus winning the Supporter Shield.
Ooh.
I just don't think, they have the least amount of losses. They only have 3 losses. They're not picking up as many 3-point wins as they probably should or would have liked to because
mm,
of giving up a goal they shouldn't have. I think they're just solid. They're well coached, as Dax, you always tell us how well coached they are,
They are.
but he really is. And they got a good squad. So I'm going to take them as being the most consistent and being the toughest to beat. I'll take them
MLS.
Supporter Shield.
Okay. MLS Cup
Uh,
finalists and champion.
it's really hard to root against Miami when the Stars are in the playoff under the lights. Messi's still doing his thing. Did you guys see this goal he scored the other day?
Yeah, ridiculous. He did it
Yeah,
against Montreal, but he feasts
it's
on
insane.
Montreal.
Reed, as he feasts on everybody.
He does feast on
Um,
everybody.
Did he feast on Atlanta United last year?
oh jeez.
Well,
Hey,
I'm
hey,
just saying.
somebody asked me
Uh,
if I shut down Messi. Um,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You guys are both taking Miami. I don't disagree. Like, yeah, when the Stars play great, they're awesome. But like, they got knocked out of CONCACAF Champions Cup in quite embarrassing fashion by the
uh-huh.
Vancouver
yeah,
Whitecaps. They had all the stars then. They had all the
yeah.
stars playing. I'm just saying, I would be in big knockout games. The way they were better in the Club World Cup, but look, I don't know. Miami for me, there's just still too many question marks around
We
them
still
this
have a
year.
summer
Yeah.
transfer window to get through, right?
Oh
Don't
yeah,
we?
they're gonna pick
Yeah.
up
I mean, who are we
what
adding to Miami?
what's the
I'm
guy?
Well,
What's
they can't add anyone.
Mueller? Mueller.
Thomas?
Thomas.
No.
Thomas
Oh,
Mueller.
Tomas.
The latest rumor around Miami is Rodrigo de Paul from Atletico Madrid, but the only way
I like
they
him.
could add a big time player is if they get rid of one of the DPs. So who are you getting rid of?
They'll buy
So
him
to
down.
hey,
They'll restructure the deal, buy him
Oh,
down, spread
okay.
him out over 4 years.
Gordo, who do you
This is
have?
happening.
Who do you have
to
Inter
win.
Miami? Who do you have Inter Miami playing in MLS Cup?
No, I'm not gonna go with that. I'm gonna say
Oh wow.
Cincinnati. I'm gonna say
Okay.
Cincinnati. I think they're gonna beat. I'm going with Vancouver. I hope Vancouver, like Dax, are I think they. No, no, no. I'm switching. I'm going San Diego. I'm going San Diego. First year Magic. No, I'm not. I actually Vancouver. Vancouver.
Okay,
Um,
which one? Which one you
it's
pick?
no
This is
Vancouver for
amazing to
sure.
have a live view of your brain
Your
working. This
brain
is
is just
incredible.
do you
No,
just
I'm
have an
going
espresso
Vancouver.
shot?
Because San Diego's going to be a little bit too inexperienced in the playoffs, and they're gonna lose a tough one, kind of like Cincinnati has done the last couple years, just being
Yep.
young and haven't had that experience as a group. So I think now that Cincinnati has that experience of losing in playoff games, important games, I think they find some magic and go all the way. So I'll pick Cincinnati.
Why I find myself agreeing with Gordo a ton this pod. I don't know why. Well, if you guys
Uh-oh.
have seen this, I've said a couple times in the last couple weeks, I've got San Diego winning the Supporter Shield. And I think it's going to be a team from the West Coast because I think the Eastern Conference is so strong and I think these teams are going to beat up on each other. Cincy has to play Miami a few times. Columbus has to play Nashville. Like there are if Philly is going to be in the mix, like there are so many, I think top to bottom, very high quality teams in the East that I think they're going to take points off of each other. And I think San Diego, the way that they play is just incredible. They lost a really amazing game to Houston recently, which obviously dents my take. But I have San Diego winning the Supporter Shield still as of this moment, and I have Cincinnati beating LAFC for MLS Cup. I love what Pat Noonan is doing. I think LAFC
LAFC.
I think LAFC is going to have a massive summer transfer window. And I think that now that they have Giroud out, the two designated player spots available, I think
Yep.
LAFC is going to reload. I think Bouanga, they realize that his window is closing and
Sell
he
them?
is. What's up?
You think they'll sell them?
I don't think they're going to sell him. No, I don't think they're going to sell him. I think they hold on to Bouanga. They sign some big time players. They go for an MLS Cup run. And look, they have the institutional know how. Like one thing, Steve Cherundolo he hasn't for me won enough finals, but they get to finals. That's just what LAFC does. So I still think FC Cincinnati, this is their year. Evander is the best player in MLS, not named Leo Messi. He's having an MVP type season. If it wasn't for Anders Dreyer, who's on San Diego, so that's kind of how I see things shaking out right now. This being MLS, all three of us will be wrong in some way, shape, or form. But hey, at
Yeah.
least we put it out there into the universe. We're trying to make some predictions. That's what we do.
You know, Dax, LAFC, interesting shout. I like your take. Also, Trundle's last run at it.
Win one for the Gipper.
Yeah, win one for the Gipper. He's given a fair amount to that club. I can't imagine any of those players won't take that sentiment on. So that was fun, boys. I appreciate all of the effort and attention you put to this episode, both Dax and Alan. And I think, yeah, I don't know, maybe we might be onto something. So I think
Rotating host?
next week, Dax, you'll be reporting from St. Louis. Gordo, you're gonna have to head down to Florida where Dax is, and I'll take a trip on vacation, and we can record from there. We'll see how it goes. Journeyman, adios.